Greetings one and all. Firstly, I would like to thank everybody who watched my unboxing video of the Asus Tuf Gaming A15 laptop with Ryzen 9 4900H. I really appreciate it. Thanks to all those who liked the video and those that subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me. Secondly, we are going to be reviewing that very laptop today. So I have it right here in front of me. The Asus Tuf Gaming A15 laptop with Ryzen 9 4900H. The model number of this laptop is FA506. First, we'll discuss the specs of the machine before we move into the review. So these are the specs of the laptop model that I have, and this is the highest variant you can buy in Australia. It does have the 48 watt hour battery and not the 90 watt hour, which was actually advertised that it did have when I bought it, but hey, them the breaks. But anyway, we'll get into the specs. The specs of this laptop are as follows. It has a Ryzen 9 4900H with a base clock of 3.3 GHz and a maximum boost clock of 4.4 GHz. It has an Nvidia RTX 2060. It's not the Max Q variant, it is the full version, if you can call it that, in a laptop. But it is still a bit more down powered than a desktop version of the RTX 2060. It has a 500 gig Intel NVMe SSD populating an M.2 slot. It has 16 gigs of 3200 MHz DDR4 RAM. It also has a 48 watt hour battery, an extra 2.5 inch drive bay, and an extra M.2 NVMe slot for another drive. It also has a 144Hz FreeSync display that covers about 66% of the sRGB color range. Now we will have a look at the laptop, starting with the top down. First, looking at the machine from top down, my machine is bonfire black and has a fully plastic construction on its exterior. It has a really rugged and sturdy appearance. On the bottom side, it has a honeycomb-like construction with surprisingly minimal air intake vents considering the hardware inside. Inside the machine we have a 48 watt hour battery, one Intel 500 gig M.2 NVMe storage drive, two 8GB SODIMMs for a total of 16GB of DDR4 memory, a spare drive bay for a 2.5 inch drive, and one spare M.2 slot for another NVMe SSD. There is also 4 heat pipes connected to the 2 cooling fans on the left and right, which exhaust out the back of the machine. For the left hand side I/O, we have a power plug, a Realtek 1GB RJ45 LAN jack, with the clip in the up position, so you don't need to lift the laptop up too much to unhook the wired LAN if you so need. It has a HDMI port that's version 2.0B. It has 2 USB 3.1 Gen 1 Type A ports. It has one USB 3.2 Gen 2 Type C port with DisplayPort version 1.4 and one 3.5mm audio jack. On the right hand side it has a Kensington lock, an exhaust port for the cooling of the laptop, and one USB 2.0 Type A port. On the back of the machine we just have 2 honeycomb exhaust ports that serve as the main exhaust for the CPU and GPU, as well as having the indicator lights for the laptop up in the top center, which you can see when the screen is fully opened. Before we get into the benchmarks, I want to go over the Asus Armoury Crate software that comes with this laptop. In this software you have 3 modes: Silent, Performance, and Turbo. And there is also a 4th mode for Windows, which I think maybe hands over controls completely to the Windows operating system. In these 3 modes, the laptop handles how it operates quite differently. In silent mode, it keeps the fan operation to an absolute minimum, but by doing so, you lose a lot of performance. But I found mainly in the graphics department, as it tends to boost the CPU core up to 4.4 GHz, but yet it'll drop the GPU core all the way down to 300 MHz. In short, if you want the laptop cool and quiet and also silent, this is the mode for you. In performance mode, the laptop just acts as per manufacturer specifications. Overall, I found this mode to be quite adequate for most, if not all, things you want to do on the laptop. The last and final mode is the turbo mode, and in this mode, it overclocks the GPU core by 100 MHz. It also overclocks the GPU memory by 120 MHz. I also felt in this mode that the fan profile was a lot more aggressive, as the fans definitely did ramp up to be the absolute loudest that I'd heard while operating the laptop in any of the three modes. I also found that turbo mode did increase the frame rates by about anywhere between 2 and 3 to maybe 5 and 6 frames per second in most use cases. To summarize, if you want silent and cool performance out of this laptop, use silent mode, as it will also use less power while only running on the battery. If you want the normal performance, use performance mode, and if you want the absolute most this laptop can give you, then use turbo mode. Overall, I found all three modes to be very helpful when operating this laptop. Now we'll get into what I'm sure you've all been waiting for, the benchmarks. Finally, we'll get to see how the Ryzen 9 4900H performs in this system. I performed all tests with stock BIOS and stock Nvidia drivers that came with the laptop. I'll cut right now to a video showing the Nvidia settings that I used for the laptop. These are the same settings I use in all my graphics tests, and I believe these are a bit of a base of just what you need to enable to make sure you're getting the best out of the card without going too crazy. All tests were performed at 1080p and at varying quality levels where shown in the graphs. Where quality levels aren't shown in the graphs, I've set it to the absolute maximum that I could possibly get the settings to go. So without further ado, let's check out the benchmarks. First up, we have the games. I benchmarked 3 games for the purpose of this review: Sea of Thieves, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and GTA 5. So without further ado, let's start the game benchmarks. Let them roll. I found the gaming performance very good overall and very much acceptable for a RTX 2060 GPU paired with a modern Zen 2 Ryzen processor. There's not really too much more to say about this. It's an incredibly usable laptop for gaming. Because the screen is only at 1080p, you're going to be able to run a lot of games at maximum settings and still keep that 60 FPS, nice cushion envelope there to game with. But at any rate, we'll move on now to some synthetic benchmarks. We'll use 3D Mark Advanced, and I'm going to do the Firestrike Extreme and Time Spy benchmarks just to see how it gauges in that as well. So without further ado, let's roll the charts again. Next we'll look at the Unigine benchmarks Valley, Superposition and Heaven. Let's roll the charts. Next we're going to take a look at some real productivity workloads, as I really wanted to see what this laptop could do when given an actual real job that someone needed completing. So I thought, hey, why not edit and render out one of my Let's Play game videos on this laptop and see exactly what it can do. Just so you know, my current editing system is a Core i7-4770K on top of a G1 Sniper 5 motherboard with 8GB of DDR3 1600MHz RAM. I built this system back in 2013 and it's about to be replaced, so you'll see a video on that soon. But it takes on average to render about a 30 to 40 minute video. It takes about, well, funnily enough, exactly that. 30 to 40 minutes to render a video of that size on that system, and it's a real pain. So I was really interested to see what this CPU could do in regards to taking on a real workload that I had to give it. So, the Asus A15 Tuf gaming laptop with Ryzen 9 4900H. How did it do encoding my video? Well, my video that I gave it to encode was episode 3 of my Command & Conquer Remastered Let's Play. This video was 32 minutes and 55 seconds long. It took exactly 12 minutes and 25 seconds to render this video in 720p at 60 frames per second. Absolutely amazing. On my 4770K system, this would have probably taken about 35 minutes. That's an insane amount of value for what we're getting here. Remember, this laptop was only $2,300 AUD. This laptop really fits the creator on the go who doesn't need a color accurate screen, as it's an extremely powerful CPU in a small package. Next we'll move into our synthetic benchmark results. Using PC Mark 10, Cinebench R20 and SpecView Perth 13. This laptop had some pretty incredible results in Cinebench R20, I thought, for a laptop CPU. The result it gave was better than an 8-core 16-thread Core i7-7700K. It was also better than a Ryzen 1700X 8-core 16-thread CPU. Bear in mind that both those CPUs I just mentioned are desktop CPUs, with a way higher TDP, up around the 120, anywhere between 90 and 120 watts, I would guesstimate. This CPU is a 45 watt CPU. So just put that into context of how powerful this chip is for a laptop. Next, I decided to do Crystal Disk Mark just to check out the performance of the SSD, and I found it quite acceptable. Of course, the results did go down a little bit when the drive was loaded up to about 75% after I'd installed all the benchmarking software and games, etc. on it. But I've posted both results. You should see them coming up now. Now let's address the elephant in the room, that being heat. Or more to the question, how much heat? I know that's a burning question you've all been wanting to know. Haha, you see what I did there? I put in a pun. A very bad pun, but it was my attempt at a joke, so anyway. Does this laptop get so hot that it's unusable? No. Do the fans spin up a lot when it gets hot? Yes. It does run very warm. There's no doubt about it. There's no denying it. However, there are ways and means of getting around it. It's, in my opinion, it's still a perfectly usable laptop, even with the slight heat issues that you may have read about or seen in other videos. So they definitely shouldn't be discounted. But what I'm saying is here, it depends how you're using the laptop. You know, like, you're never going to be using it to the point where it's pinging at 90 degrees with fans at full bore, like the whole time you're using it. It's just, that's not a feasible situation. So, first of all, it's got 3 modes. It has silent mode, which, well, in that mode you'll never hear a peep out of the machine. It will never even get hot. The CPU and GPU might get close to 60 degrees, give or take, maybe 70, but that's about it. I mean, you don't have any graphics performance, but the thing is quiet and cool. So first of all, that takes care of all your web surfing and YouTube watching, word processing, or any other application like that you may want to use. Second of all, when the laptop is in performance mode, it's running at stock settings, and it has what I would call a decent fan curve. Yes, the fans do get a little bit louder than some other laptops. There's no doubt about it. But it's not terrible. Like, I have a Gigabyte Aero 14 laptop from a few years back with an i7 700Q or something like that, and a GTX 1060. The fans in this laptop get louder than my Aero 14, but then again, my Aero 14 is running hardware that doesn't get quite as hot. So you have to remember there's a lot of performance in this small package. And then there's turbo mode, which overclocks the GPU by 100 MHz and the GPU memory by 120 MHz. In this particular mode, I think the fan curve is a lot more aggressive, like the fans ramp up a lot more, therefore providing more cooling, which then allows the CPU and GPU to boost a little bit more also and handle the extra heat that the GPU is putting out with a slight overclock. In this mode, the laptop will just go balls to the wall and it will do whatever it can to provide you the max performance, even if it's going off its head with the fans. That's a given. But you will get the maximum performance. So what I'm saying is, if you want a game with good performance but not have such an aggressive fan curve, then use performance mode. If you want this laptop to give everything it's got, use turbo mode. If you don't want to hear a peep out of it and you want it to be as cool as a kitten, then use silent mode, but don't expect much gaming performance out of it. So now I'm just going to show you some footage of the laptop after it finished one of its 3D Mark runs. It gives you some performance or some monitoring metrics down the bottom. You should now see it on the video. It's up on screen. I'm moving the mouse along just to show you the values. If you want to pause the video at any point, do so, just so you can see what the laptop's doing in regards to all the different values, the clocks, the how hot it's getting, etc. And then you can see for yourself exactly what's going on. But as I said, it does have the heat issues, yes, but is it catastrophic? Does it make the laptop unusable? No. I use this laptop for a full 6-7 hour Sea of Thieves gaming session with my brother, and he had an Asus gaming laptop as well, albeit his isn't spec'd quite as highly as this, but I was running this laptop in performance mode. My fan noise was slightly elevated above his, but it didn't detract from either of our gaming experiences. The laptop was fine, it didn't crash, it didn't blue screen, it didn't do anything untoward. Yeah, and through all the performance testing, whatever mode I've been using this laptop in, it hasn't faltered either in any of the modes. So the laptop is not getting to its maximum limits to the point where it's becoming an unstable environment and it's really going to cause you a bad time. So that's what I've got to say with the heat issue. Take it for what it's worth. I might do a little bit more investigation on it in another video. And I might even try doing something to see if I can cool it down even more, but we'll see. I'm not too sure if I want to dremel into this quite yet. So this laptop, what would I recommend you would buy it for? Well, for starters, if you want really good specs in a machine that doesn't cost that much, then that's a good reason to buy it, because you're going to get a lot for your money with this laptop. Secondly, if you want an on-the-go video editor and you don't need the color accuracy from the screen, as mentioned before, the screen is only 66% sRGB color accuracy, so it's not going to give you great Photoshop type of work, and it's just not going to be good for anything where you need a color accurate screen. So don't look here for that. But if you want to, like I did with it, if you want to do a Let's Play game video where you're only chopping a little bit of footage here and there, and it's extremely straightforward, and you just want to record an episode of something, even if you're Let's Playing off of a Nintendo Switch or something else, and you just want, and you're on the move, like when we can eventually move again, that is, yeah, and you want a quick video editor that will just do the job nice and fast so you can upload your content, then this is a great laptop. It has a seriously powerful CPU for that, and it still just amazes me now, because at the moment, until I upgrade my editing computer, which will happen in the next week or two, so I'll finally move away from my i7 4770K system. I'm going to go to a Ryzen 9 3900X system. But anyway, we're getting off track. This laptop currently has the most powerful CPU in my household at the moment, and it is crazy. This thing is great. Would I recommend it to a professional creator that needs the color accuracy of the screen, or an esports gamer that needs a super fast response time? No. A, the screen is not color accurate beyond 66% sRGB. 2, it's only 144 Hz, and I think the screen has around about a 19 to 20 millisecond response time. So if you're super sensitive to that and you've played on good screens before, you're going to notice it real quick with this one. So yeah, professional creator, professional esports gamer, probably not. There's a few other options you could go that wouldn't be too much more above the budget of this to get you what you needed in regards to that. Do I think it's value for money, considering the specs that's inside it? Definitely. this is definitely value for money, and that's where this primarily sits. If you want these laptop specs in this budget, well then you really can't go past it. As I said, this is the top spec model. Other models come with the Ryzen 7 4800H CPU and RTX 2060, and then the lower models come with Ryzen 5 4600H, I believe, with GeForce 1650 or 1660 Ti. This laptop also comes with a 230 watt power brick, which I believe is the same power brick as the 4800H model. And during my testing of the laptop, I didn't experience any power drain on the battery, so it's definitely enough to keep this laptop happy as far as power requirements are concerned. Well, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed my review of the Asus Tuf Gaming A15 laptop with Ryzen 9 4900H and RTX 2060 CPU. I really enjoyed making this video, and I would really like it that if you like this video, please hit like. It means an awful amount to me. If you didn't like it, you can hit that as well. You can hit the dislike button. And if you like the content from my channel, please subscribe. I'll be doing everything PC tech, all the way from retro PC tech to modern day PC tech like this. I want to do lots of stuff with gaming too. So that's why I'm doing the Let's Plays. I really enjoy doing them, and I hope that people enjoy watching them as much as I do playing them. And then, yeah, as I said, I do lots of stuff with retro PC tech as well, and in the future I hope to do a lot of videos around retro PC tech and seeing what it can do in the modern age, and just doing some funky stuff with that. Like behind me here, I have something of a rarity. I have a GeForce 6800 Ultra, brand new and sealed in this box. It's an EVGA one, I believe, and I'll be doing a video on that in the future. That was a prize pickup off of eBay, so really can't wait to do something with that. Anyway, guys, thanks so much again, and I'll see you in the next video. Got some more videos on the A15 coming up as well, so keep an eye out for that, and I'll catch you in the next one.